Alright guys, let's talk about section 2.5 of Math 0314, Intro to Relations. The real question here is, what is a relation? So a relation is anything that has a relationship, for lack of a better word, between two values. So in this case, between x and y. So if we look at question number 1, it says find the domain and range of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. What we're doing is, what we want to do here is figure out what the domain and the range are. And so domain is related to the x value, range is related to the y. Easy way to remember this is alphabetically D comes before R, X comes before Y. So all I have to say is my domain is going to consist of 1, 3, and 5 because those are my X values. And my range is going to consist of the Y values, so 2, 4, and 6. I do not know why I wrote a Y when this should have been an X. Okay, so that would be 2, 4, and 6. And there we have it. And we can see this written. This thinks this is the way your book is going to write it. But there you go. Okay, so go ahead, pause the video, try this one. What's the domain and range of this relation? So I'm assuming you give it a shot. The domain is going to be all the x values. So this will be 0, -8, 1/2, -3, and -8. Range will be the y values. So this one's going to be 0, 4, 1. And actually, I can stop here. So a couple things to note. And I did not need to put this -8 here as well. And I hope you see why. So you do not have to rewrite the values twice, which is why I got rid of the -8 twice. The other thing here is it doesn't have to be in order. Usually it's written in order because it's nicer, but it doesn't have to be written in order. It's not wrong if it's not. Okay? Moving right along, it says find the domain and range and write as an ordered pair. So we know how to do the domain and range. The domain is the x values, so this would be, these are all my x values, so that would be 1, 3, and 5. Range would be the y values, these would be all my y values. 2, 4, and 6. And to write as an ordered pair, that just means I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. That's it. That's all you got to do. And we have different formats of this. So this is called mapping. Again, x is the domain. So that's still going to become 1, 2, 3. Y is the range. So that's going to become 10. And to write as an ordered pair, this is interesting because they all get mapped to 10. So this is going to be 1, 10. 2, 10, 3, 10. And that's it. Next way we could see this is it could be a mapping of, it could be asking you to find the domain and range of, say, like a circle. And this is interesting because the x values are all the values throughout where the function exists. So notice that, or the relation exists. And so when we look here, we can see that everywhere on the x-axis between -2 and 2, there is at least one value that has a corresponding x value. And what I mean by, so whatever this number is right here, there is an x value right at that point. So what does that mean? The domain here, I'm just going to write here, domain is going to be from -2 to 2. And because we are including, we're going to put them both in brackets. The range actually has the same phenomenon. Let me do a different color. Actually, let me erase all this. So if we look at the range has the same effect. It exists everywhere between -2 and 2. Okay. Two other examples. This open circle means we do not include the value of 2. So the domain would be what? This is one that you have to be careful with. Because a lot of people like to say, well, when I drew the picture, you started here, and then you went out here, and this way. So sometimes people like to say the domain is from 2 onward. But the truth is that the lowest point along the x-axis is 0, is at the origin. So the domain here is going to be from 0, including 0, to infinity. Now you might ask yourself, well, Mr. Anderson, it doesn't exist at that value. It doesn't exist here, but it does exist here for 2. Okay? So what you want to do when you do domain and range is always start from the furthest left and just move your way forward to the right until you find a point that exists. And then just keep moving your way forward until you see where it ends. In this case, because it is an arrow, it keeps going. The range starts at -2, so I start at the lowest value, and I work my way up. Okay, so the lowest value is going to be -2. Now note, this one is going to be in parentheses, because we don't include -2. And then this arrow, I'm assuming this arrow gradually goes up, so this would also be infinity. Infinity will always be in parentheses, because it keeps going on and on and on. So that one's a little more complicated, but hopefully that makes sense. And then we have C. So do me a favor, if you haven't done so already, pause the video, try this one on your own, see if you can figure out what the domain range is of this. And I'm going to assume that you've done so, and now let's do it together. So the domain here, we're going to say follow the same strategy. We're going to start furthest out left. Well, if this is shooting out, that means the domain is going to be -infinity. And when does this stop? Well, clearly it stops here at 0. The range, we're going to start with the lowest value. Well, this arrow keeps shooting down, so the range would be -infinity. Let me do a different color. The range would be the lowest value, which is -infinity, and then we said it keeps gradually going up here, right? So the range would be end with infinity. And there we have it. And there we have it. So that's it. That was a pretty short section. Hopefully that made sense, and I'll see you in the next video.